The MEXT scholarship requires that you write exams, and by the end of this video, bachelor's, master's, PhD students, it doesn't matter whatever level you are going to have a good idea on how to prepare for this embassy exams. This is for those that are going to be going through the embassy route, and of course a lot of research has gone into this video, so I'm going to put all of this information into my nice database that has a sheet that is the MEXT sheet. All the research that I've been doing for videos on this channel about MEXT, they are all there. Go ahead, subscribe to the database. It is going to help you. Everyone goes through this process of writing different exams. Masters and PhD students, you all are going to write something a little bit different from undergraduate students, but regardless, everyone is going to write an exam at the embassy, okay? So for the MEXT application, you have the university recommended route. You do not write any exams through that route, but the embassy route, you have to write exams are taken, and it is really a gatekeeper, right? For undergraduate students, this is mandatory and it is very critical. For research and master students, it is mandatory, but it carries a different strategic weight. I have done a ton of videos about the things that are more strategic for masters and PhD students. You know, it's the field of study and research plan that carries the heaviest weight. And then for undergraduate students, it is these exams, okay? So let's look here for undergraduate applicants. We're going to talk about undergraduate applicants and then masters and PhD students. Undergraduates, by the way, do you all know? Because the category that you fall into tells what exam you're going to write. For example, social sciences and humanities A and B, math A, English A, B. All of these categories that you're having A, B, they really matter, because as I said in the video about for undergraduate students, I know someone who prepared for one thing and went to the embassy and was given something else to write. I hope that you all know what you're going to be writing. And then the natural sciences A, and then you have natural sciences B and C. Please, undergraduate students, make sure you are clear on what you have to write, okay? That is not the case for research, masters, and PhD students, because everyone, doesn't matter your major, it's English and Japanese that everyone is going to write. And this is like, you don't have to write anything with reference to different subjects for masters and for PhD applicants. The main differentiation with these exams really comes at the level of undergraduate applicants versus masters and PhD applicants. So let's look at the exam format. Structure dashboard. Duration 60 minutes for the subject test. Rules: no calculators, and you have to think of these answers by your head by yourself. And then most of them are usually multiple choice combined with some fill in the blanks questions. This is actually for everything. And then language: all subject exams are provided in English, with Japanese available for those that are fluent. I think that the only time that you get to write an exam in Japanese is when you are writing the Japanese exam, right? All the other exams, all the other subjects, you are going to write in English. So at least you're not going to have that barrier in terms of understanding the exam or the questions that you are going to ask. They are not going to throw that kind of a curveball on you all, okay? So let's look at the difficulty. Like, what are we looking at here? How bad is it? That is what we are trying to decode. Like, how bad is it? Okay, so here we have the difficulty reality. So you have math and science. This is like the most difficult ones here. Content covers advanced high school concepts, which is highly competitive. And then English, generally straightforward to fluent speakers, and it focuses heavily on grammar, vocabulary, reading comprehension, and error spotting. And then Japanese, it ranges from absolute beginners to advanced within the same testing session. The hard truth: it's easy to get a decent score. It's very hard to rank at the top. That is an interesting reality. I think my strategy going into the exams was that I knew that I could not compete for the Japanese exam because I did not speak any Japanese at all. But I knew that the competition is really going to come down to the English, because everybody that I was competing with, they also did not know Japanese, but English, everyone was expected to know English to some extent, right? So I was competing with those people. And that is why I did not play around with my English. I went in there ready, prepared to fight through. And then the Japanese, I wrote my name, multiple choice. I chose everything, answered, and submitted. Okay. Now let's look at the scoring secret, relative versus absolute. So here you have 90% pass line. That is not really what they are looking for. You have to pass, but it's not like, oh, you have to have a high 90%. So the embassy quota, it cuts off, it shifts annually. So this I need a 80 to 90 to pass the MEXT exam. That is not the case. Reality, there is no official static cutoff. I think it is really compared with those, like the year that you apply for it, right? How does everyone score, and who is the best, who are the top 3 or the top 4 or the top 5 in that year that you apply. Okay, so exams are a relative ranking tool. You're not trying to pass the test, you're trying to beat the other applicants in your specific country to fit within the embassy's hidden quota. That is just what I was explaining. It really comes down to your country, the people that you're competing with, and how good they are. And that's something that you cannot tell, because if you're competing with students that are really good, if you happen to fall in a year where those that you're competing with are really good, all right, you're going to have a big problem. But if you go in a year where everyone else is like, whatever, then probably you're not going to struggle much, right? So it really depends on you and your luck. That's why you just have to prepare, because you don't know who you're going to be competing against, right? Okay, let's look at strategic weight selection. So you have application documents and then written exams. And then this is like for undergraduate students. Your application documents are there, but they do not weigh as much as the exams. Undergraduates, you really have to do well in your exams. Okay, and then let's go for masters and PhD students. Your research proposal and your interview, it weighs way more compared to the language exams that you are going to write. So at least you have an idea on where to focus your attention. Bachelor students, you have to do well in the exams. Masters and PhD students, your research proposal, how you perform at the interview, all of those things add up really quick. Okay, so the Japanese exam misconception myth: my degree program is entirely in English, so I can skip the Japanese test and leave the answer sheet blank. Please do not do it. Please do not do it. And I've explained a lot in these videos that I have done that it is, no one is expecting you, like the reason why MEXT is structured in a way where when you come to Japan and you're doing your studies, the first 6 months that you come here, you practically have to study Japanese language, is because they know that you do not speak Japanese in the most cases. So they're not expecting you to sort of score in the Japanese exam, but what they're expecting you to do is show up, write your name, answer all the questions, whether you know them or not. It is really a sign of respect. It comes down to, yes, I don't get it, but I'm going to show up and still put my best foot forward. It's a show of character. So y'all go in there and do not leave any answer unanswered. Okay, now let's look at the holy grail of passing: test papers, past question papers. Past question papers, you guys, like, listen, you need those past question papers in order to prepare. It's the difference between making it and not making it, those question papers. So official question papers from 2024 to 2020 are available on the official Study in Japan website, and MEXT repeats specific question patterns, structural logic, and grammar formats. So if you practice with those past questions, you are going to be niching your way towards really doing very good, because you already know the kinds of ways that they are going to ask you the questions. Okay, so stop studying broadly from like standard textbooks. Use the past questions as your guide in order to do the studies. Okay. okay? This is found at the Study in Japan website. You can download those past questions from there and study. And for those that are going to be signing up for the one-on-one tutoring, your tutor is actually going to help you and give you more information about how they passed these exams, what was their strategy, how did they go through. So your tutor is actually going to help you with this, okay? How to prepare a 3-layer strategy. Step 1, which is like your core strategy, master the past papers first, okay? Step 2, subject strategy, train for speed in all of the subjects, not just math, in all of the subjects. And then step 3, 2 to 3 months, highly structured time preparation is optimal. That is like, this is the end. This is like April is starting soon, so probably you're going to have 1 month to do this preparation. So you have to practice. And of course, a huge part of this advice is going to undergraduate students, but it's also going to masters and PhD students, because you all will still have to write those embassy exams, and those embassy exams are going to be difficult, okay? So let's look at common mistakes that you can make and to avoid them. Ignoring the Japanese exam, we already said that. And then studying standard local textbooks, rather use those past questions papers to guide you as you study. And then underestimating the strictness of math and science while overestimating English. Like, no, math and science is like the very important part of your exam. And then practicing past questions without a strict timer. The idea is just like, the more you practice on that timing, you sort of get an idea of the environment that you're going to be writing at. And that is why it is always good to talk to tutors, because what your tutors are going to be teaching you is they are going to be telling you how they navigated this time factor. What were the mistakes they made? How they think, like in hindsight, what did they learn? How can they do better? That is why things like this are very, very important. It's important to sign up for the one-on-one tutoring, okay? Exam day experience. You have to dress formally because you're going to the embassy, and then bring your official ID, required documents. That is important. Of course, basic stationery. You're going to write an exam. Dress smart casual or semi-formal. I say dress formal because based off of your country, sometimes embassies are strict. I remember there was a time that I went to one embassy in my country and they wouldn't let me go in because I wore sandals and not covered shoes. And I was like, wait, what? And they were like, yeah, you have to wear covered shoes. And I was so pissed off. But yeah, it's better to just be safe than sorry, okay? And then expect a distinct 60 minutes testing blocks separated by very short gaps. I actually think that on these exam days, one of the things that they are testing is your resilience, because we were like just from one exam to the next exam to the next exam, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a lot. This is like a lot. And my younger sister passed the MEXT exams last year, and she went through the exam, she succeeded, she passed, and they took them to some kind of it was like a school or something, and that was where they were writing, and they had like very short breaks in between to move to the next one, and I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, so let's look at the black box. And that is why I still say talking to tutors is important, because the tutor is going to be sharing with you how they navigated their process. So you'll definitely do well to sign up for that one-on-one tutoring, okay? The black box, what happens after? So you have the exams plus the documents, and then the next thing, that is like your first screening at the embassy that gets completed, and then you have your interview shortlist. I know that this is the process for masters and PhD students. I am not very sure. I think maybe it's the same process for undergraduate students. So I will have to check with the undergraduate tutors to find out what happens, because I'm not sure where they go from here. And still going back to, that's why it's good to talk to people who have done this before. I went in masters and PhD, right? So I'm not very clear on everything that undergraduate applicants go through. That is why I'm linking you to undergraduate tutors, so they show you what to do, the things that I do not know, right? Okay, expectation management and odds, the reality check. Even brilliant students fail. Okay, and strong exam performance doesn't guarantee the MEXT scholarship, but it guarantees you survive the initial cut and stay in the fight. This is the thing. The MEXT scholarship is a very, very competitive scholarship. I don't know that there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees that you're going to get it. There are no guarantees that you're going to be taken. So your best bet is just to put your best foot forward. Work with people that have gotten the scholarship before. Practice, 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 and then you put your best foot forward and then hope for the best. Like, do not focus all your energy on what we are talking about here. Practicing with the past questions, doing some mock questions, and focusing your energy on that. And once you've written it, you let it go. You let it go. Whatever results that come from there, you know that you went, you put in your best foot forward, and then you let it go. Whatever happens, happens. Okay. That's why I always say subscribe to the database, because what that does for you is you apply for that scholarship and then you let it go, and then you go and you keep applying for other scholarships. When the results start coming in, when a scholarship comes and says rejected, you're like, okay, that's fine, I'm waiting for another one. The next one comes, rejected, okay, that's fine, I'm waiting for another one. It helps you build resilience in this process, because you guys, I was rejected for scholarships for 5 years before I got my first fully funded scholarship. So you need a lot of skin in the game. Of course, there are some people who try the first time and they get it, but the chances that you're going to get rejected is very high. So you need some kind of resilience and things to keep you going. And if you just apply for your one scholarship and then you just sit, I'm waiting for the next results. Then when those next results comes, and then this is like a 1 year that you're waiting, the results come and you're not chosen, you're going to be shattered, right? You're going to be like, oh, this scholarship thing, I'm just going to give up. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so let's look at some questions. Do I need 90% to pass? No, you don't. And then, can I fail the Japanese and pass overall? Yes. I don't think I did very well in the Japanese test, but I still made it. And are the pass papers good enough? I think they form like a critical foundation. And then, do all countries use the exact test? The tests are unified globally by year, but local embassies dictate the strictness, cutoffs, and quotas. Oh wow, even I did not even know this breakdown of the details. I just know that embassies have a lot of sway with how it goes. That is why you have to focus on convincing them that you are good enough to get the scholarship. So as I said already, there are 2 ways that I can help you all. Number one, I'm going to put all of this research that went into this in the database. Go ahead and sign up for the database. And then I'm going to be linking you all with MEXT grantees in Japan for one-on-one tutoring. So definitely do well to sign up for that. I hope that this was helpful. I look forward to working with you all. I'm going to see you all in the next one. Peace.